Welcome back, everybody, to Grand Tactician, the Civil War, our Union campaign, and there has been a major update to the game, and thankfully our save game is just fine, but specifically what I want to talk about here is the update to how things work with supply, and this is a much needed and much welcome update, because as you noticed at the end of our last episode, we're once again having some major issues with food and things like that. Well, they've revamped the supply system to where it now will show you exactly what is going on with your supplies and whether or not you're connected to supply. So for example, right here, I can look at all of my different corps and see whether or not they're connected to supply depots that are within the commander's range. Now I've got one right here, but it is not a connected depot. And what that means is that even though I've got a supply depot there, I don't have a supply depot connected to that depot. So you have to have a chain of those in order to be able to move south. Now this is very consistent with what would be historical. And I've mentioned this before, but Ulysses S. Grant, who was masterful when it came to those things because he had been a quartermaster during the Mexican-American War. He understood this, and he talks a lot about this in his autobiography about the need when moving an army south into enemy territory to establish longer and longer supply lines. And so, for example, marching down to Vicksburg was not just as simple as just sending an army down to Vicksburg. You had to supply that army all the way from the north. And that was actually one of the reasons why Vicksburg was so important, because it cut off the flow of supplies from the western part of the Confederacy, beef from Texas, for example, into the eastern part of the Confederacy to feed the armies. And so supply now becomes a much greater factor. And so we'll explore that more as we get into today's episode, but it seems like we're going to have to put a stop to all of our armies moving south until we can establish effective supply routes. Another thing is that you can now see the railroads more effectively. And see what railroads can be built. So for example, we can click on this one, the Kentucky-Cumberland Gap Railroad, which we can see has stops along here, and it can be built if you control all of the locations along that route. So now I can click on this and I can hit Construct Railroad. The more railroads that are constructed simultaneously, the slower the construction progress for all railroads. Construction cannot be canceled. So we're going to go ahead and start constructing that railroad that's going to go from Lexington all the way down to Knoxville. And so you can kind of scroll through and see all the available railroads that can be constructed. And you can see the green and red showing which of the routes you control. So for example, here I control almost all of this possible railroad except for the end right there. Same thing with this one here. Oh, that is that one. Okay. Kentucky-Cumberland Gap, we're constructing. Here's another one that has been constructed. And you can see it's at 100%, and we control all the available spots along those. And you can scroll down and look at every possible railroad. Here's another one. This is going from Covington up here outside of Cincinnati all the way down to Nashville. And obviously that would allow for the flow of supplies along that route. So those are just a couple of things. There's a lot more that's actually been updated. You can see that the interface is now in the middle instead of over on one side, which is nice. You've got supply alert right here showing what the supply situation is along all the different routes. So those are just a couple of things. You also get monthly reports on the condition of your economy. You can see reports on officer loss. The following commander is reported wounded, David Hunter. There's a lot more now available as far as history of your men. Some of this still needs to be fleshed out. So for example, I can click on a unit and I can look at that unit's history. I can see it was raised on April 5th, 1861 in Massachusetts. Some of the units, you can see things like when they were wounded. So this guy was promoted to colonel, recovered, and returned to active duty. If they've been wounded, you can see when that happened and how. Some of them even have some history as far as things that they did before the war. Let me see if we can find an example of that, because there was one really interesting example that I saw. It was Harney. Here, hero of the War of 1812, was a second lieutenant in the 1st Infantry. In June 1834, he beat a female slave to death with a cane, but was acquitted in 1835. Fought in the Indian Wars, the Mexican Wars, where he commanded the 2nd Dragoons, but was replaced due to bad temper, but continued in the war and was breveted a Major General. Breveted a Brigadier General. And you can see some of these, you'll see things like how they led their units in certain battles. I can't find any of that at the moment, but there were somewhere I clicked on that actually said led his brigade in the Battle of Nashville, things like that. So all of that stuff is available now in the history, which is a pretty neat addition to have. So here you go. Andrew Dennison led his unit into the Battle of Petersburg on October 18th, 1862. Again, October 19th. So little things like that. And they're still working on those things, but those are really nice things. And again, just adds to the level of depth and immersion that's available. And I think, especially on the Union side, this whole supply issue is going to make things that much more difficult. I can click right here now and see a lot more information. Hopkinsville, Union, not blocked. This small town is an important infrastructure point where trade and supply flows. If these points are IIPs, important infrastructure point, are changing sides, the infrastructure needs to be rebuilt. During this time, the flow of goods is reduced as well as through blockades. This leads to lower revenues, lower availability of goods, and rising prices. So there you go. It was recently occupied. Transport capacity is still recovering. So those are the kinds of things that we have to be concerned with moving forward as far as the flow of supply. So I've got to kind of work all that out right now. Again, no supply showing for a lot of these various things, and that's all going to have to be worked out. So now we can get a better sense of the supply. So for example, right here I can click on the 18th Corps under Gouverneur Warren, and I can highlight on supply, and I can see here he's got a level 3 supply depot that is within range, that is being supplied down through the chain there, and that a level 3 supply depot has a capacity of 38,000 men. So we need several of those, obviously, to feed an entire army. Condition, supply speed, average stock, refilling speed, supply capacity. So those are all important factors. Now let's look over here at the Army of the Ohio, and we can see that they have no supply depots within range. Now, I don't know if once we get down here where this supply depot is, if we'll be okay, because we just need to get that Army of the Ohio to where it's inside that circle, and then we'll have a better sense of where they are supply-wise. So same thing over here with the Army of the West under Harney. I've got to get him back so that the Rolla depot is within his circle. And anytime we move outside of that, we're going to need to build an additional supply depot that's going to put him in range. So now he's in range of this one, so hopefully that will resolve that issue. It's just going to take a little bit of time for that to happen. Let's upgrade that depot. There we go. Now he's showing as connected, and it has a capacity of 29,000 men, but we're upgrading it so it should be able to handle 38,000, which is how many he's got, the 29,000 there, so he's going to need that little bit more. Now we can highlight as well, and this shows more details. Like I can highlight this strength, and it says 4 divisions with 15 brigades. That's information wasn't available before. So they've done a really, really nice job of adding a lot of depth and a lot of extra information that is very helpful moving forward. And again, these guys are outside of any supply depot range, so we've got to get that connected. Let's go ahead and start building one as soon as we can. So I've been slowly but surely getting a check on all of my different units, and right now we've still got 3 that are in supply alert, so those are the ones we have to be most concerned about. So let's look at Gouverneur Warren. He's got a supply depot now that's in range, so he's good. What about here? They don't have anything, and I've got to get them back within range of one that does. So let's start moving the 17th Corps back closer to the Army of Tennessee, which hopefully should put them in supply range. We We've also got the 1st Corps, which is in the process of moving west, and it looks like they've kind of gotten stuck. But they're going to get down to where McClellan's army is, and he's still having some supply issues. I'm not entirely sure why that is. All right, he's only got a level 2 supply depot, that's why. So we've got to upgrade this one to level 3. Probably have to do the same. Oh, that one looks like it's already maxed out. So hopefully that's going to get him where he needs to be. There we go. Now he's got full supply. So those are the kinds of things we're going to have to just keep an eye on moving forward. And that's good. I like that. I like having to be concerned with those types of issues because those are legit things that, especially on the Union side, needed to be dealt with. All right, Gibbon's in supply range now, so that's going to help. We're just going to have to let them kind of all sit. It's December of 1862 anyway, so we need some time to kind of rebuild. Morale nervous for Hooker's men. Are they in supply yet? They're still not connected, and the problem is because of his readiness, I can't move him. And now here comes 26,000 men under the Army of Texas. Army of the Potomac, South Carolina State Militia. I feel like we're going to be okay here. Joe Hooker should be able to handle this. No, it's actually not Hooker, that's John Wool. He's 78 years old. I think you're past your prime, my man. Let's do it. Interesting. We are on the Appomattox Courthouse map, fighting the Battle of Charlotte. I don't know if that should be Charlottesville, but this is a map I've not fought on before. You can see the McLean place right there, which is where the actual surrender was signed. And boy, it looks just like it. That's really cool. That's a nice level of detail right there. Seeing the McLean house where the surrender happened historically. That's pretty neat. I like that a lot. Alright, so we're going to fight at Appomattox Courthouse. Let's go ahead and get our 5th Corps into action. And the rebels are right here, so we're going to, this is going to be pretty quick contact with the enemy. Let's go ahead and get Cadwallader's 1st Division moving. It is winter time. I'm going to go with a double line. So we've got plenty of reinforcements if one of our units happens to break. There's George Thomas's division. Then we'll need to get our artillery up there. Kind of spread them out a little bit. So who do we got here? We've got Couch's Brigade, Williams Brigade, Alpheus Williams. These are all pretty experienced commanders. Here we've got the Tar Heel Boys division under Francis Preston Blair. Wilmington Buffaloes, Appalachian Bushwhackers, who have a perk available. How about Sharpshooters? Actually, the rest of them are about to have their perks. Rally Red Strings have their perk. Let's give them Deadly Volley. It's nice to have a nice mix of things. And the 18th North Carolina. And then over here, we've got the 155th Pennsylvania under Stephen Weed. We've got Wincoop's Brigade under Heinzelman. We've got the 3rd Brigade under Wagner. And I've got Cav out on the flanks. In fact, I'm going to send the Cav to go start securing objective points. We'll keep them right there for now. Looks like he's going to move to counter what I'm doing. So as we move in closer, I'm going to go ahead and deploy skirmishers, who will probably get into action here in a second. Get these Napoleons moved up. Actually, for that matter, we need to move this whole division forward. So far, so good. Of course, they run out of ammunition fast, the skirmishers, because they don't carry a lot with them. He's shifting everybody. Pickett's an artillery commander. That's interesting. So we start grabbing these objective points behind him, and we'll force him to attack us. His morale's higher. Of course, the further we send the cavalry, the longer it'll take them to respond. Alright, Gibbs, go take that one. And we'll send Andrews to go grab this one over here once he takes this one. Actually, we'll go ahead and issue those orders, because by the time he receives them, he will have taken that objective. In theory, anyway. We'll see if it actually works out that way. He may move before he takes it. Alright, skirmishers, let's bring you in before we run out of ammo. Okay, I've issued an order for my 3-inch guns to start counter battery fire. See if we can kind of soften up that center a little bit. All these batteries that he's got there. In the meantime, you can see the Confederates are dug in behind this creek line. They've got some protection there. I honestly want to just start grabbing objective points to the point where he has to attack me, because we're racking up those points, but we're just not there yet. Looks like we're about to take those couple of objectives there. It's still only 10 in the morning, so we've got a while to go here. I might try to attack his left flank. Let's go ahead and push forward on that side. That's George Thomas's division. If anybody can get this job done, I feel like it should be Thomas. So let's see, Heinzelman's going to park right there. Stephen Weed's going to move over that way. I might actually tell Heinzelman. Let's get him to move all the way up here on the flank. Alright, we grabbed that objective. I don't know if we'll be able to get a message through or not, but let's go ahead and try it. Don't like maneuvering in the face of these guns like this. Okay. 3rd Brigade's about to get themselves a perk. Alright, we're going to drive off those guns. Pickets, boys. We're going to hold everybody right here and then just start to try to fold. See, now he's adjusting because he sees that happening. Now it says I can defend because we hold more objectives. I just realized that we're fighting on Christmas Day. Kind of sucks for the men. He's adjusting his whole line because of this move on his flank. I'm going to move these Napoleons right up into this gap here, which I can plug with infantry if I need to. Alright, let's go ahead and tell the 3-inch ordnance to fire at will now. Alright, Thomas. Go after Lane. just got to watch, because given orders to target a specific unit, if that unit falls back, they'll pursue. So we may have to issue new orders there for that division. Alright, what's going on over here? We're making our move on more objectives. Where'd my men go? It's kind of weird. Alright, 3-on-1. I like those odds. We're actually taking slightly more casualties, but we do outnumber him 2-to-1, or at least that's our estimate. I feel like 3-on-1. Those are odds that I'll take every time. Sure why I can't get the 3rd Brigade to move forward. There we go. Okay, Cadwallader, let's go ahead and send out some skirmishers. Blair as well. Just to keep them pinned down and occupied over here. Things are starting to shift our way. There goes Lane. He broke. I don't know why I can't get this division to line up right. There we go. Alright, 155th Pennsylvania has lost 572 men, so we want to be careful there. Wincoop's brigade's got a perk available now. Yeah, see, they're trying to pursue that unit that broke, and we don't want that anymore. How about we just issue a halt order for everybody for now? Now, I'm going to put Thomas into a single line formation. Heinzelman, chill, dude. We're not pursuing Lane anymore. Yeah, that order seems to have really messed things up. There we go. Alright, pull the skirmishers back. They're getting low on ammo again. Alright, now things are looking much more favorable numerically. We took out most of his guns with our artillery. We just broke Duncan. I think moving those Napoleons up has helped too. Again, George Thomas doing most of the heavy lifting right now. In fact, you can see there he's got 860 casualties, which is, I don't know, not quite 15% of his force, whereas Blair's lost 139 men. Cadwallader about 324. How are our cavalry doing behind the lines here? Let's go grab some more objectives. Overall situation, now you can see how the objective points are even, and that'll start shifting in our direction. Now the morale is good. The routes are a big factor. And so now he's shifting even more men over this way to counter that move. Yeah, some weird things happening with the arrangement of the troops for some reason. Alright, Heinzelman. Let's do your thing here. There we go. Iron Discipline. That gives us one with Deadly Volley, one with Iron Discipline, one with Sharpshooter. Alright, now I would say it's time to advance with the Tar Heel Boys and Cadwallader. We don't want Thomas to have to do it all. He's lost 1,300 men now. North Carolina is going to be right up at the front, along with the Wilmington Buffaloes. Those bright blue uniforms. Still not quite sure why these guys won't adequately turn their angle. There we go. Now we just shoot it out. He's pulling back his skirmishers. I think we got him. Not quite sure why that isn't saying major victory. It might just be we can't win a major victory with the number of troops that are on the field. Oh, you need to inflict... So there you go. This is new information as well. To gain a major victory, you need to inflict more than 39% casualties on the enemy, while your own losses may not surpass 23%. Military experience increases these triggers. A major victory reduces the enemy readiness and supplies dramatically. The public would be pleased hearing about a victory like this, preserving unanimous support. The names of the commanders involved would surely be on the lips of everyone. I like the extra information they're giving us. Alright, 2,300 casualties, 5,500 for the enemy. Our army is victorious, a minor federal victory. On Christmas Day, 1862. The music plays again now because I usually have the music turned off for the sake of recording, but every time there's a new major update to the game, it resets those settings. I've noticed it feels like the load screens are happening faster now too. I could be wrong about that, but it felt like the campaign loaded up faster. Oh, we'll rally around the flag, boys will rally once again. It's one of my favorites. Shouting the battle cry of freedom. Let's see. I love the music, and if I weren't playing... I gotta turn feuds back on. I can't once a campaign starts, but when I'm playing a campaign, I don't play the music, but otherwise I definitely would, because the music's fantastic on this game. Really helps with the immersion factor even more. Alright, we still have 3 supplier alerts that we have to figure out, and one of the problems, of course, like I said before, is I can't move the Army of the Ohio to be able to get them in supply range. So it looks like the Confederacy, now with this latest update, or maybe just because they've passed some new policy, have suddenly started recruiting again. They were at 250,000 men not too long ago. Suddenly they've just passed us up in fielded manpower. So that means we're going to have to start recruiting too. And where I really typically start is by looking at any of my units that are pretty far behind, like Churchill right here. And I look to add units in those particular divisions. And then kind of go from there. Looks like only 12 days to get that one in. And I might even just reinforce some of those. But it looks like for the most part our reinforcements are coming in pretty fast now. And most of our units are pretty well fully reinforced. So it's really about adding new ones at this point. Okay, let's start moving the 2nd Corps down the Shenandoah Valley back to reestablish taking all of this stuff around New Market. McClellan's withdrawing. He was having some supply issues. We had to pull him out. We've got to connect him up with the 1st Corps, which is trying to make its way over to the Army of Tennessee. So we have the troops we need to move into Tennessee. But they're just having a hard time getting over there because of the supply factor. And because it's winter at the moment. Same thing goes with Harney's Army of the West. We've got to get them back to where they have full supply. That's a level 2 depot, so let's get that upgraded. Okay, we've got 1 supply depot here, which obviously is not enough for the amount of men we have in this area, so we're going to go ahead and build another one. In fact, I might even build a 3rd. Just in the abundance of making sure that we've got plenty of supply for these troops, because we're sending another corps that way if we can get them there. Okay, John Wool's 5th Corps is going to be added again. This is where a lot of the fighting's going on, but this time it looks like in terms of available men, Beauregard's going to have the advantage. Actually, I may deploy to defend there while we try to get some additional troops in the area. So where's that? The 5th Corps is over here. Yeah, we get the 2nd Corps right there. We just don't have, because the 3rd Corps is in Petersburg. They're just out of range, so I don't know if we can even get additional corps there or not. I need another corps in the Army of the Potomac is what I need. Now that I sent the 1st Corps out west, I'm a little short in the Army of the Potomac. So let's create a new corps. We'll rename it and all that kind of fun stuff later on. I'm actually going to name it the, I think the 12th Corps. I'm trying to keep with the historic corps that were in the Army of the Potomac rather than just going 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. We'll add a couple of divisions of infantry to start here. And just let them auto-recruit from the places that are going to be the best. Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, it looks like. We've got still 93,000 volunteers and almost 1 million draftees available to us. And in the meantime, I'm actually going to transfer some men over to the 5th Corps. Where is the 5th Corps? That's Wool. First of all, is he? Yeah, he's doing pretty good. Let's transfer some additional units there. How quickly are these guys? Nah, not in time. Schenk's 3rd Corps. We could... No, he's... This guy needs to be replaced. He's defamed. I need to start looking at that a little more often because there might be other defamed people that I haven't really paid much attention to lately. Just because we've been doing so well. I tell you what, let's send Burnside's division, transfer them to Wool in his corps, at least temporarily. That's a lot of infantry in one corps, but for now I think we need to do that. That'll give him 46,000 men. Okay, that seems to have paid off. We were able to drive them off from the siege of Charlottesville without having to fight a major battle. So now let's go ahead and look at the military situation, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Burnside's division back where they were before. It's going to take them a couple days to get there, just a day actually. And we are going to continue building up the 12th Corps. It's going to take some time to get there though. But still, the Confederates are up to 367,000 men. Even with all the recruiting I'm doing, I'm still lagging behind. Alright, we've got our new supply depots built here. And you can see now everybody's happy, everybody's green. We're going to get these things upgraded too, so that they're all the max capacity. We can have a nice base of supply from which to launch our attacks back into Tennessee. We still have a problem with the Army of the Ohio being cut off. Major supply issues there. They are being supplied now from this depot down here, which is good. I want to get them back over to Memphis, though. They'll be well supplied from there, and then hopefully we can start going after these guys I think the Army of the West is in full supply now as well. They are. So our supply issues are largely dealt with. We got a few minor ones. Army of the Kanawha, but we're building one there too. Confederates are up to 374 now. We're up to 360, so they're still staying ahead of us. Army of the Kanawha's building a supply depot now. First Corps finally getting moved over toward where the supply is for them, but they've got 7,000 disabled because they were out of supply so long trying to move them west. All right, thankfully we've got the Jonesboro Depot up and running. We're going to start supplying McClellan's army. Just as Owen's army starts moving this way, a small supply depot can only supply about 6,000 men. So we've got to get that thing upgraded as quickly as possible so it can handle what we need. Going to get that up to level 3. Even that's not going to be quite enough to supply McClellan's whole army, so we're going to need a second one. And that'll do the trick. It's now mid-February. First Corps is finally getting over here to where they're going to be in supply. I've started moving Grant with his other 2 corps down toward Nashville. But again, we've got to be careful because of supply concerns. He's about to be out of supply. I think we're going to have to build another depot or 2 here. Yep, he's out of supply. How about we grab that one right there? The Confederates hold at the moment. Oh, we can't move. Okay, so he is within range, so he was able to grab that one. Where's that put us? It's a level 1 depot, so it's going to need to be upgraded. Thankfully, that's a whole lot easier than having to build a new one, which we are also doing. First Corps, finally there. There's 7,000 disabled. That number should start going down now, finally. Let's get this one up to level 3. We're spending a lot of money to do that, but it's necessary. All right, we're going to send Hooker across the river to deal with Carlin's Corps. There's 27,000 men, which are part of the Confederate Army of the West. So we're going to hit them as quickly as we can. Here we go. Florida State Militia. See, we've got low morale, but I'm going to take my chances. Come on, Hooker, let's do this. Battle of St. Louis Rolla Railroad. All right, so we've got some bad weather, and we've got a pretty rough terrain situation here that we've got to move down through, but we're going to make the best of it. I'm going to send the Nauvoo Legion just out this way to get a sense of what's happening. But I'm going to tell them not to use roads because otherwise they might go right down the middle there, and what I want them to do is go straight across this terrain to get there. And we'll start with the let's see, 63 Spaniards Brigade, the Oregon Volunteers, and the 2nd Brigade under Canfield. We're going to move them right down the middle with Sykes' division and support, which has the 2nd Brigade, the 504th PIR, and the Saginaw Valley Rangers. And then these guys over here. We got to remember our issue with morale is not great at the moment. 53 to his 73. Okay, so sending my cav out there seems to have been a wise move because we've spotted his army right over in this area, which means we've got time to move out of this darn swamp that we're finding ourselves in and get into some open territory. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's get Shields to move his artillery up into this area too. We'll shift Stockton over to the edge of these woods. Bring this cav out on the flank. Alright, Nauvoo Legion is made contact with the enemy, and it's not a good situation for them. We're going to give them orders to pull back. and hopefully we'll just bring our whole army in right in this area, just out in front. It might have been ideal, actually, to stick them in along behind this creek. I don't know. But at this point, we still have orders to attack, so we kind of need to press things, and we don't want to find ourselves having to cross that under fire. So I'm probably still better off doing what I'm doing. Let's bring Sykes up right over here. Alright, we're still waiting for the cavalry to withdraw. I don't know if he's received those orders yet or not, but Stockton sent out skirmishers. They're kind of winded because they've been marching quite a bit. They're also pretty nervous. Fighting in the snowstorm. Gonna try to bring up Moses Walker's division as quickly as we can. Come on, get out of there. They've lost 400 men. Still waiting for the rest of the artillery to get here. And then we've got to get them in a place where they can actually fire. Okay, let's get a good look at the situation down at ground level. Most of these men aren't in range. It's just kind of a skirmish. Oh, that's a full brigade engaged right there. I'm going to pull skirmishers back. Why can't we get McKean to pull back? Sykes is just about to be in position. Let's move him down a little bit further. Our poor guns are very tired. They had to come through this swamp. It's not a good situation for artillery. Poor Nauvoo Legion's just getting pummeled out there. I should have gave them evade orders. I'm going to wait until Sykes is in position before I start pushing my lines forward. Alright, he finally fell back, but only because he broke. Alright, I am going to go ahead and push forward here. And pull the skirmishers in. End of the day, okay. That would have been helpful for my cavalry if that had happened a little sooner. I think we're pretty solid where we are. I'll put the cav out there to hold that position. Let's get our artillery in a better position. Alright, I think we're good. Oh, he pulled back! Darn it! He redeployed everybody. Wise move, but not one I like. Now we got to do this all again. Let's look at the numbers. Pretty even here. Pretty even on casualties too. Alright, WHL Wallace. Looks like he's engaging over here on the side with some skirmishers. We had some skirmishers from the Oregon Volunteers way out there, but we're calling them back in. They were up on top of this hill, which we are now going to lose. Still waiting for everybody to get in position. I actually kind of would like to be able to take that hill. Let's go ahead and start advancing toward it. See if we can drive off these skirmishers in the process. And let's see what happens. Alright, boys. 63rd Spaniards. 63 Spaniards are going to be the first to engage with the Oregon Volunteers right at their side. We're going to try to take this hill. I'm going to bring in the 504th PIR right next to them. Go ahead and bring Saginaw Valley Rangers up on the left. Alright, shift a little this way, Stockton. Gotta bring the guns up. Alright, the fight's going to be for Hauser's Hill. I'm going to move Kilgore's cavalry up as well. See if we can't threaten them over there. That's just a detachment. Hit them. Charge my whole brigade at them. They'll probably start pulling back here in a second. Yeah, there they go. Alright. Sit tight. Stop, boys, stop. Alright. Get the order to stop, please. Alright, I think we got it. And meanwhile, there's a dog barking outside. That really doesn't happen all that often. Alright, fall back a little bit. I think we got a little too anxious there. Come on, Sykes, get your boys up there. Alright, well, the 63 Spaniards broke, and that was totally my fault. I got them way out in front of the rest of the unit. And they just got hammered. But we're going to take care of that with the rest. Start pushing forward. I'm going to keep bringing these guns up a little further all the time. Alright, we'll try to overload on the left of his, or on the right of his line here as best we can. Gotta get Canfield to plug right into that gap right there. Let's get the Army commander a little closer. Things are still not doing particularly well. His morale is significantly higher. He's got better objectives. He's got better of everything except for casualties. And that's really not much of a difference at the moment. So this one's really up in the air. Let's dismount the cav. Get their firepower going on these guys. Alright, what are you doing? Why are you facing that way? There we go. Maynard carbines, 12 rounds a minute. That's nice. Let's get that going. Why are we not firing, guys? These guys are really winded over here. McCrae's brigade's all by its lonesome self over here. We ought to be able to drive them back pretty fast. Yeah, his casualties are mounting up. I don't know why the Cav's not firing though. There's no reason they shouldn't be. Except that maybe that hill's in the way. It's the only thing I can think of. The order's finally coming for them. They're way out on the flank. Come on, get them moving, Mink. There you go. Now let's see if they open up once they get up on the other side of this hill. Well, that side did anyway, but the rest are still not. I don't know what's going on there. That's alright, they're still getting driven off. Alright, let's push up. Going to drive off one brigade at a time at this point, as long as he's going to hold his position. A little concerned about Ewing right here. They're exhausted. Let's get Yates out here on the flank to help out. Man, why are things moving his direction? Doesn't make a lot of sense. Casualties are shifting more and more in my favor. Now we're showing us a minor defeat. It's just because of those objective points. He's got such an advantage on objectives. We just got to keep breaking units, that's all. You know what? Mink, mount up and run those guys down. And even if we don't destroy them, we'll go grab some objectives behind the line. There's only a few. I'm going to shift Walker. And we'll do this manually, I guess. Bring Minty up with the Saginaw Valley Rangers. That'll be a fresh unit. We got to refuse the line here. Get it a little more sturdy on the left. All right, Shields, bring your artillery up. Okay, Mink. Go grab that objective. How are we doing over here? Oh, good. Bringing the 4th Brigade up seems to have helped. Oh, wow. His line extends way further than I thought it did. Jeez. Okay, that might be an issue. We're rolling up the right of his line, but his left extends. I'm surprised he hasn't swung around and hit my right. No wonder things are far from settled. Who was just killed? Yates has fallen. Commander of the 4th Brigade out here on the right flank. That could be a problem, because those casualties are mounting up quickly. We sent Yates over there, and they've got mixed muskets. This is their first combat. They don't have good weapons. They've lost their commanding officer. We could be in for a real nightmare on that side. But casualties are good. 3,100 for us, 4,200 for him. We've got the numerical advantage. We've got a big advantage in guns. What we don't have are the objectives. Morale's pretty even. I'm just concerned about this situation here. Let's shift these guns over, see if we can help out. Battle River Rascals. It's a Carter Stevenson there. Alright, Sykes, come on. Right, let's bring these guys up. I'm going to actually send Canfield's brigade way over here to help stabilize this line a little bit. Just as we shift artillery that direction too. Keep pushing, Sykes. George Sykes, historically in the Army of the Potomac, commanded the 5th Corps, which was later commanded by Gouverneur Warren late in the war, until he was relieved of command by Sheridan during the last week of the war in Virginia. Many years later, Gouverneur Warren was acquitted of the charges, and the Army eventually sided with him in that dispute on whether or not Sheridan should have relieved him. I think it was after the Battle of Five Forks when Sheridan felt that Gouverneur Warren hadn't moved fast enough. Warren's one of the unsung heroes of the Battle of Gettysburg. He's the guy whose statue is up on Little Round Top. He was the, I think he was the Army of the Potomac's chief engineer. And he was the one who recognized the importance of Little Round Top and made a quick decision to get troops up on that hill. Alright, things have shifted my direction a little bit. 5,400 enemy casualties, 3,800 from me. I think we're stabilized on the right for now. We gotta try and drive off Carter Stevenson's brigade if we can. That might not be Carter Stevenson. I'm just assuming that's who that is. Kind of curious now. I don't even know what division he's in. Florida Militia? Nope. Doesn't really show me who the commander is. Okay, back at it here. We're actually showing as a minor victory now. I think Stevenson's going to get driven off. Where's Canfield going? Oh, Yates just broke. I don't. Oh, you know why? Because I gave division orders, and he's part of that division. We broke Stevenson, but Yates broke. But Yates just survived that, and they've rallied. We're sending Canfield back over. I think this one's in the bag. Looks like he's pulled back. I don't even see him over here on my right anymore. Can Ewing hang on against Earl's brigade? They're a pretty small unit. I think they probably will. I'm going to send Canfield to help. We're going to charge into them and see if we can break them, because that might be enough to win this battle. Kind of a desperate attempt to end this thing now. Who was wounded? W.H.L. Wallace was wounded. He was historically killed at Shiloh. I think. Alright, it worked. Another wounding? The commander of the Oregon Volunteers. We've lost 3 brigade commanders in this battle. Oh, there goes Yates. Who's this? The 63 Spaniards are finally deciding to rejoin us, it appears. Alright, this thing's not over yet. Let's get the division commander to try and rally his division. And Wallace, now that they lost their commander, it looks like they're having trouble too. We're going to try and rally everybody and just hang on for now. long as these casualties keep mounting up in our favor, I think we'll be okay. Almost 10,000 casualties for the Confederates. That's a third of their army. Alright, Canfield, chill right there. Alright, we broke Tucker. I think that's going to help a lot. Alright, we're going to send Sykes to go after Scott. Canfield broke. Darn it. Now he's got an open line all the way to our artillery if he wants it. But we still got him. Alright, cool. Well, that was ugly. It wasn't our best command performance on the field as far as maneuvering units and such, but in the end, it worked out okay. Okay, that was a bloody one, but it's a minor federal victory. And it's a much-needed victory in the West. That's actually in the Trans-Mississippi Theater. So we're going to wrap it up right there. But the enemy's national morale has actually gone back up. So this thing's not as close to being done as it originally looked like it was even an episode ago. Because he's added, I think, over 100,000 men to his army nationwide. And his morale has gone up by at least 5 points. It was back up over 40 last I looked. So these updates to the game, I think, are much welcome ones, and they make it more difficult. And it's good, too, because the state of the situation nationally, the Confederates shouldn't be that close to surrendering yet. They still hold all of Tennessee for the most part, though that's about to change if I take Nashville again. Okay, now we've knocked it back down to 38, but you can see he's got almost 400,000 men fielded now to my 377. We got a long way to go. Let me know your thoughts. Use the comment section below. Tell me what you think of the new updates, and we will see you again soon. Thanks for watching.